Hello guys, today I will be showing you a Railmaster build. It is a build type named the AoE Master because it uses only lineage skills and all of those skills are considered AoE in a way. It's a very easy build to set up, it only requires 60 skill points to max out all those 5 skills, and you really don't need any other skills maxed out because you won't be getting any bonuses from the other skills, from the other skill tree. I will show you both the skills, the gear, and some bit of a demo of the gameplay for the class. In addition to what relic weapon is preferred, but not necessary for sure for this build. The skills that we need to get this build rounded up are all the skills in the lineage tree combined with Sword Smash, which you get from one of the relic weapons, the Flaming Destroyer. First off, we have Blasting Charge, a great skill that increases the lineage skill damage, so it increases the damage of all 5 skills in this skill tree. In addition to that, as you level this skill, the vulnerability of one of the monsters becomes better. Next off we have Pound. It is basically slamming your hammer into the ground, doing a nice AoE damage and a good chance to stun the enemies. In addition to that, there is a synergy passive that gives us damage reduction in melee combat. Next off is Hammer Spin. Hammer Spin is our movement, in the same time knockback, and at the same time escape skill. So it does decent damage, it knocks back the foes around you, and it gives you a movement speed boost after the skill animation is over. And to top it off, you have this amazing skill called Ghost Train, which deals incredible amounts of damage. It knocks back your foes, and if you aim it correctly, it can keep hitting enemies and knocking them back, like you can pin an elite to the wall or to a tree or something like that. In addition to that, it gives you a passive bonus where healing for 5 seconds occurs after using either of those 5 lineage skills. For the hammer spin, I forgot to say that it increases the rail hammer damage, so if you plan on using rail hammers, it's a very nice synergy, and I strongly advise, if you can, to get a rail hammer for this build, a good rail hammer. As for the Sword Smash, it is a relic weapon skill, so you need the Flaming Destroyer relic weapon to get this skill. And it's basically summoning a sword up high to hit the ground in a line and set enemies aflame, and that's a 6 seconds burning duration. So you have Blasting Charge, the Pound, the Hammer skill, and the Ghost Train combined with Sword Smash. And you also can use the relic weapon for extra attack speed. So this pretty much sums all the skills. Of course you need Flying Picks. It gives you damage to flying picks and endurance recharge rate, but you use that as a passive only. If you want to use it, you can do that before you get your Flaming Destroyer. You can use it as a right mouse button, and if you need to later, you can do something like this. Use both Sword Smash at the right mouse button and Flying Picks at the left mouse button. It's up to you. I personally prefer to use my basic attacks, especially if using rail hammer, staffs or swords. Let's move on to the next stage where I show you some of the gear choices I've made. This is something important. If you want to make this build work, you need things with physical damage on your leg armor and on your chest armor. Additionally, if you don't care much about gear work on your gloves, you can try and get additional bolts fired on shock. Preferably 2 bolts and a good amount of attack speed, or 4 bolts. Or you can just try and go for something with a lot of attack speed and gear work, and if it's a legendary, even extra defense. I would suggest as you level up, try to get a balance between gearwork and bolts, or gearwork and attack speed, or bolts and attack speed, and ignore going for extra defense on the gloves, the helmet as well. If you have a weapon that shocks, go for bolts. If you don't have a weapon that shocks, save your additional bolts item gear uh, just until you find a weapon such as this one, like no, actually this one. Chance to shock over etc. seconds and additional bolts. This is something great. You can use a focus weapon if you manage to find one on another character. If you can't find a focus weapon, just equip a shield appropriate for the content, whether it's goblins and fire damage defense, whether it's poison defense and hive it, or just undead monsters. You have different shields for each situation. If you want to use a Railhammer, this is a very good choice, especially for this build. If you find a great Railhammer, use that. Something with a chance to poison would be nice. Staffs are also good, but I'd advise going for Railhammers due to that passive bonus damage to Railhammers, which came from, what was it, from this skill. So yes, get a Railhammer. If you can't get a Railhammer, get a sword and something else, or a mace and something else. Just I'd advise at the moment going for something like poison, burning, or electric damage with shock. Electric damage and shock would be advisable, but if you want to synergize with the Flaming Destroyer, burning is not a bad choice, and poison is also always a good choice because it can stack up to 3 times. If you can't get a sword with a shock or burning or something like that, try to get something like this with flat damage only. This would give you a huge DPS boost, and you would know that it's a sure thing to get that damage in. Avoid getting crit chance and crit damage builds unless you really have a good crit chance on the shoulders, like over 5% or over 4.5. and over 10% on the weapon and offhand that you're wearing. Although I personally think it's not worth going for a crit build unless you have 30% crit chance, which is difficult to obtain on this character, but on characters like the Forged it's easy, or if you have weapons such as this one that gives you crit chance on burning targets, or something like this one that also gives you crit chance on burning targets. So as you level up, of course, always try to use what's best. Don't try to use some fancy gear that just looks fancy but is already out leveled and won't do you much good. Gloves like those would be nice as well. It would give you huge attack speed boost. And if you combine gloves like those with Dwarven Great Blade, which I probably don't have in my inventory right now, but there is a great sword that gives you around 60% attack speed, and with this around 90% attack speed from the gloves, that's a ton of attack speed. If you find something that's wife bound, you could use it, but know that once you die you would lose the item. For your pet items, try to get something with bok chance on the cover, and ideally you would get little studs as your pet tags, because it's a great way to stack critical hit chance and critical hit damage on the pet. And the pets are very useful when you have those on them. You want them to hit hard, they might not hit often, but you want them when they hit to have a chance to crit, and when they crit to have a chance to make it a massive hit. So this is good, even though it gives bleeding, which is kind of wasted. There isn't currently another one that could give you a combo with crit hit chance and crit hit damage, unless one of the random rolled ones that don't have fixed stats manages to give you a good RNG with such stats. So I'd strongly recommend, even if it's a few levels under your current level, just using a little stud for as long as you can take it before you find a new one. And while using a cover, ideally try to get something with bok chance, because avoided hits for your pets are better than having more health or more defense on the pet or stun resistance. And as for the relic weapons, as I said, the best choice is Flaming Destroyer due to the skill that it gives us, the active sword smash. You would start with a Blood Drinker. It's a great starting weapon. It gives you some extra weapon damage to the enemies. It gives you bleeding. It gives you health on kill, physical damage, and at level 8 the weapon would start giving you healing during its active time of 30 seconds. And it's not just healing on kill, but healing per hit. So for a starter weapon it's nice. You also have a Bane staff, which I can't show you right now, but I will add in a clip with the Bane staff so you could see it from my previous video on another character. But the Bane staff is basically a staff with poison, health on kill, chance to poison, and a passive skill, I think at level 7, where each enemy you hit that is poisoned shoots out bolts in 4 directions. In front, behind, on the left, on the right side of the enemy, there will be some poison bolts shooting out. This is pretty much it for this part, and let's move on to the next part when I show you some gameplay of this build. Gameplay will be pretty much me showing you a bit of a damage for each skills and a bit of how this build could combine later when you unlock some train skills. First of all, as I said before, it only requires 60 skill points and this can be rushed quickly. You can rush the campaign, the acts quest for the 2 frontiers, and this will get you all the way to level 30 on each frontier, which would get your level to around 60 altogether, which would give you enough skill points to get this skill and be ready for the end grind, where it's grinding post level 30 in each frontier, where it just map works grind. So maxing out each frontier before moving on to map grind is something I would strongly recommend if you're going for this build. So a combo would be blasting charge, pound and hammer spin, like this. 1, 2, 3. And then the speed from hammer spin helps you move from the next from this target to the next target. So you get them to take increased damage. You slam your hammer into the ground with pound, and then you use hammer spin to give you that movement speed boost. On maps like this one, I can advise you to do what I'm doing now. Look, now I'll just try and gather all the monsters. Although they kinda blocked me, so they kinda countered my plan. But the thing is, they have specific places from where they spawn. And you would want them to start spawning and then just group them up in the center. And just use a ghost train. And then after the ghost train, get in with the hammer spin. Maybe add some dynamite to some targets like this one that are hard to kill. Also, this one seems to be glitchy here. So one of the combos, as I said, is blasting charge, pound, hammer spin. But you could also do something like hammer spin and pound in a different order. Like let's try hammer spin first, and then pound. But you risk knocking away your opponent, so with hammer spin before pound. And pound is nice to keep them in place. Anything that doesn't die from the blasting charge pound combo will then probably get finished by hammer spin. And if anything's alive, you can just wait a bit, fight with some basic attacks, and get your ghost train ready, and then just finish off and start using ghost trains on tough opponents. Let's try and find a tough opponent somewhere, so you can see what ghost train is capable of against elites and legendaries and uniques. This was kind of a one-shot of an elite rat, but rats are not tanky, so it wasn't the best example. So let me quickly also show you what I do with the sword smash. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, left mouse, and usually the ghost train should be ready by then. So if you want to do a proper rotation, it would be blasting charge, pound, hammer spin, then probably Sword Smash and then Ghost Train. If Ghost Train is ready, then you can use Ghost Train right away, but if Ghost Train is not ready and you need some endurance, just fill in the gaps with some Sword Smashes. If you're using Flying Picks instead of Sword Smash, keep in mind that it also needs endurance, so it might not be the best thing to do, but it is also a great skill. I'll show you what Flying Picks does. It's basically piercing, so it hits anything in line. Let's get them lined up. As you can see, it's a powerful skill as well. It's not a bad skill to use, so it's decent, and you can actually use it like that, so you can have 6 active skills up at the same time. Let's go back to the normal setup. As you can see, the boats I suggested are pretty nice, so let's try the combo on this one. 1, 2, 2 didn't go in. Sword Smash and Ghost Train. Pretty good combo, pretty fun rotation. Of course, you can make the build your own, you can experiment, make different combos. Let's try the hammer spin then pound combo. Basically, hammer spin would get rid of all the little goblins, and then with pound you can just stun whatever's left. But I usually prefer to lead in with the busting charge for extra damage, pound, and whatever's left you finish off with the other skills. This pretty much sums up the gameplay demo, I think. There's not much else to show you. Maybe I can try and show you an elite fight with Ghost Train. The video to that part. So let's just quickly try and find one. As I said earlier, getting this map on a Railmaster with this build is a blessing, and you can just do this, get all the enemies, group them up in a line, and then use your Ghost Train skill for a quick wipe of whatever's in there. So now, as you see, there's legendary monster. We're gonna try to spam as much as we can our Ghost Train and our busting charge with some basic attacks in between. And you can see this kind of obliterated this legendary. Pretty good build, easy to max out all the needed skills for the build. And the only thing where it might fall off a bit is on bosses. But once you get used to it, you would be melting bosses as well. Maybe not as fast as someone with a flamethrower car, but you would still be doing pretty well on bosses, and you also have all the nice tools in your arsenal, such as Blasting Charge, Pound, Hammer Spin and Ghost Train. All great skills, all AoEs. And with the Flaming Destroyer's Sword Smash, you deal quite a decent amount of damage too. So thank you all for watching this build video, and stay tuned for my next builds. The third one I'll be uploading would be for the Forge Plus. And then I'll move back to Dusk Mage, Railmaster and another Forge build in the next few days. Make sure to like, subscribe, share the video if you like it, but don't feel obliged to do so. Goodbye from me and keep it cool, guys.